welcome to Strength-Based Marketing. I'm Pat Dewar. I'm so excited about my show today. Longtime friend. I've watched Mike Capuzzi go from first-time author and incredible marketer in his own right through the last 16 years, 17 years, helping, I don't even know how many, lots and lots, like hundreds probably, but we'll get him to tell us that. And but the number of people he's been able to help create a tool, and he calls a shook, and I'll let him explain it, that is so powerful at attracting high value clients. How many of you need high value clients? The ones that you actually want to work with, that will pay your invoice. And so with that, Mike, I just want to get right to you. Thank you for being on the show.
Hey, Patrick, I appreciate this opportunity. It's been good to reconnect. Like you said, it's been years and that we've known each other, but thank you very much.
It is. It's exciting. I was very grateful to be on your podcast last week, recorded that. I'm so excited about that. But I really want to get into this story that you have and how you created the shook. And so tell me your story. How did Mike become Mike?
Yeah, well, so in order to tell that story, I do have to go back a couple of decades. So ironically, and you may not even know this before, even when we met years ago, my college degree is in engineering, so industrial engineering. And I actually worked in the engineering field for a number of years. And that's going to be relevant here in a second. I'll tell you why. But I did that for a number of years. And then I moved into the software industry and worked in a software company. I was employee number 57 in a small company that now has almost 4,000 employees. And more importantly, it just went public last week. I literally just found this out, and I still own a ton of stock. So that's cool. And I was holding on to that stock just in case this company ever went public, and it just went public last week. So that's very cool. But I digress. And I left that company, Patrick. First of all, I was in a technical role. I moved into a marketing role in that company, literally traveled the world, met my woman who became my wife. But at the height of the dot-com era, the first one, which was the late 90s, I left that company to start my own company, which was a marketing consulting company of software companies. And I did that for a number of years. But then when the bubble burst, things changed, early 2000s, mid 2000s. And I migrated to working with more what I call Main Street business owners, more of the traditional business owner, doctor, lawyer, and also the business owners that serve them. So software CEOs still remained a part of my group. But anyway, and that's where I kind of came into Dan Kennedy and Bill Glazer, and that's where you and I met and all that good stuff. And, did that for a number of years. I ran a local marketing group, just like you. I know you were involved in that there in Texas. I did one here in Pennsylvania, Philadelphia, grew that very large, very successful. And really that's where that was the first opportunity, because I was marketing a local group where we got together once a month. And one of the first things I did, Patrick, so I started that in 2006. I published my first book in 2007 with the distinct specific strategy of using the book to promote myself in a local manner. And it did very well, and it helped me. I got on TV, I got on radio, like real TV and real radio. Got into an article, Investors Business Daily wrote about our book, a lot of local media, et cetera, et cetera. And then that was really the first start. I helped my first client in 2008 write his first book, which actually turned out to be a shook, and I'll explain that in a second. But going back to my engineer brain, which I do have still, I realized I love books. I have a huge library over here. I love regular books, fiction, but I also realized, Patrick, a lot of people start books, never finish them. A lot of people never even open a book because it's so intimidating. So my engineer brain kicked in, and I said, geez, why write a 300-page book when maybe a 100-page book could work? And rather than one 300-page book, why not 3 100-page books? It allows me to have a different focus, market differently. So I came up with the concept of a shook, a short, helpful book, which is really, Patrick, a direct response type of book. They're a bit smaller in size. They're real books. They sit on the, so this is a real book. Print them primarily. We do Kindle, we do audio. But it's really about a specific recipe, a direct response recipe, to get a reader from reading a book, because it only takes about an hour to read, so it's not intimidating. But then more importantly, Patrick, take action. So since then, fast forward, we have helped, we're probably up to close to 100 clients at this point, write their own shooks, leverage their own shooks. And it's even growing and becoming more and more. People just love the concept of, hey, I don't have to take a year to write a book. I can write a book in about a real book in about 8 to 12 weeks. And more importantly, it's an effective type of book.
But you have a formula, and that's one of the things to go into, kind of that concept of, what are you doing to create the success you're having, is that you're teaching a formula. Because I got your book today. I loved everything about it. I'm a marketer. I was like, hot dog, I got a box. Okay. Is that right? Yeah, I got a box. Okay. And the box, solid. And I knew, shook. No, this got to be multiples. And I get in there and there's a nice card. Then I see, the first book is on gratitude. And then, oh goodness, and then now there's the second book, and it's the one you were holding up, and it's the 100-page book. And I started actually reading that, got about halfway through it. And then, the magic, your book on the magic of a short book, and kind of reiterating it. And then there's, the other one, the book on Main Street author. And I loved it just because, man, I just got a bunch of Mike. I got some great ideas. And as I was reading it, I was blown away at, we studied under Kennedy, I got it, but I was seeing little things, just little things like, there's some paper that's just like empty. And then there's other things that are completely strategic in the way that where you call out, hey, here's something for you right now. You've gotten this far in the book. Go to this website and you can get this now. And then it's all about engagement, and you're trying to kind of what it looks like. And tell me, Mike, if this is part of the forum, part of what you're trying to share with people, is that it's a multi-touch thing. You got a book in their hands, but you need to get them engaged with you online and ultimately either in person or on phone. And I saw this and I went, oh. So tell me, Mike, one, kudos to your this and the delivery, but is there a formula? And so tell me.
Well, again, engineer brain, right? So there has to be a formula. I actually, like in the 100-page book, I call it a recipe. I'm partially Italian, so my Italian grandmother always had recipes. She loved to cook. I love to cook. So I'd rather refer to it as a recipe, but it could be a formula. But yeah, absolutely, Patrick. It really starts, the first step, first of all, even before that, I believe anybody watching, listening to this could and should have a show. I talked to another gentleman, you may even know him. He was from the Glazer Kennedy world. He has since sold his business, semi-retired, and for some reason wanted to open up a high-end barbershop, which he has, high-end, right? And one of the first marketing assets he created for a barbershop is a book. I haven't gotten it yet. He's sending it to me, but he wrote a book about why you want to, and why to get a straight shave and all this stuff, right? So I believe anybody, consultant, client, physician, doctor, insurance agent, real estate agent, pizza shop owner even, could have a short, helpful book to help differentiate themselves, because both you and I know how critical that is these days, to leverage an authority status, to build an authority platform. So first step, I believe anyone can do it. Second step is really, you got to then know, who am I trying to attract in my business, right? So who's the who? Then, what's the big idea I want to present in a shook format? So you showed my latest shook, the 100-page book. The big idea about this book is it's a 100-page book. It's right in the title, right? This was very strategic, easy to find on Amazon. And again, it's a real book. It's, ironically, Patrick, it's 100 pages. I did get my first 2-star review. It had tons of 5-star reviews, and then some gentleman gave me a 2-star and literally said, Patrick, it's up on Amazon, literally said, oh, this should be like a 130-page book so they could have more content. And then it, like, wait, it's a 100-page book. Anyway,
Missed the didn't read
totally
it.
missed the point, right? But I chuckled, and it's still a #1 bestseller almost 3 months after we published it. But anyway, big idea, right? So who, big idea, and then you create bite-sized chunks of information. And then the part of the recipe that so many authors, even really smart people, miss is that if someone's reading your book and they get it, oh, Mike, I love the concept of a 100-page book. Well, if I don't give them what I call the next step, that's on me. I'm at fault. They want more. So we typically provide 2 pathways in a shook. We call it the active pathway and the passive. The active is for the person who's like, I got to have a shook. I got to work with Mike. Here's the next step. Schedule a strategy call. If you like the concept, but you're not quite sure yet, we have the passive pathway, which is how to get more information. You know, it's a downloadable report. They go into a follow-up funnel, et cetera, et cetera. But a lot of authors, Patrick, miss that very simple direct response strategy, which is to give people who want more the pathway for getting that more.
It's critical because, I mean, hopefully we all have fun in what we do, but most of us actually work for funds.
We hope.
Hope. And you know, the idea is increasing the value, increasing the return on the investment to the client. And I see what, you know, the things that you're doing. I love the fact that we have been programmed, people have been programmed for a long time that if you're an author, you're an authority.
Yeah.
It's the reason why I started my TV show years ago, because it's unconscious that if you see somebody on video and in a TV format, oh, they must be the obvious expert. Duh. What you're doing is you're giving them a very concise way. Now, one of the things that's I'm sure was part of your planning, not only just that, hey, why would I need to do all that? You know, it's the way you're wired, because you're an action taker, you're an implementer, you're somebody who, when you get a hold of an idea, you go, you know, bust a wall down and carry it through to fruition. Well, who do you want to interact with? Your clients? Do you want the tire kickers, or do you want the implementers, the action takers? Well, one thing about action takers is they don't let moss grow on their feet. Hence, Mike, your book is designed, when I was reading it, it's designed for that high driver, take action, make crap happen now kind of person, because they don't really they don't want all the data. They want, what's the RDCV of this stuff? Reader's Digest condensed version, please. Get me in, get me out. Is that what you've seen in the utilization of the book? Is it calls out the people that are, you know, movers and shakers?
Well, without a doubt. So this gentleman I was just sharing the information with, who sold his business, I actually just interviewed him for my podcast. And just like ourselves, Patrick, he and I knew each other for years ago and just reconnected. So the podcasts are cool for that. He said leaders are readers. So he's now coming up with a new business for 7- and 8-figure business owners. And he's writing a book about his new opportunity. And he said, I want to use a book because leaders are readers. So right away, you know, I always say books tend to attract a more educated, more affluent, not always across the board. And nor should you always think about that, because if it's a consumer oriented book, then you want more people to be able to read it. But regardless, book readers tend to be information seekers. They tend to be, it's like back in the old days with Yellow Pages. If you're looking at the Yellow Page, for something, you tended to be in buying mode. Well, if you're in reading mode, you're in research mode, which at least allows you to say, I know this person's interested. So without a doubt, and then going back to the point of authority and, in your case, being a TV show host, books, even in this day and age, Patrick, are still seen as objects of value, right? So, business card. Here's my business card, right? Nobody expects to pay for a business card. They expect to pay for a book. They don't get excited when you send a business card or a brochure. You send someone a book, you get thank you cards, you get thank you notes, and that doesn't happen with traditional marketing stuff. But an asset like a book, and then more importantly, it's very hard to, and we're talking print books, but again, you can have PDF and all that, but you always want to go print. Patrick, if you don't mind, can you bring up the magic of gratitude for a second? Do you still have that there? And
I sure do.
Flip the back to the back.
Oh, I saw that. I loved it.
We designed it so we can personalize the back cover, and there's a personal note. And then on the inside of the other shooks, I autograph them, right? You can't autograph a PDF. You can't, you don't want an autograph brochure. This is the power of a real book. And if that book can be an effective sales tool for you because it follows a direct response recipe, you've got a winning combination.
And it really does get people in that mode. If they get into a book, and I know that average reader in America reads at about 227 words a minute. And if they've never taken an accelerated learning course, you should. Okay. But a lot of people that are action takers will tend to process through as much as a book a week or at least a book a month. If they're going to be readers, they tend to be someone who reads on a consistent basis. Mm-hmm. The average high school graduate doesn't read 3 books in their lifetime. But you're not looking for average. You're looking for implementers, people who want to take action. And you said that you work with a lot of different industries. Is there a special person, like your ideal, your avatar, as they used to say? Who do you call out to? And even right now, who are the people that you say, if you're these things, who would they be? How would you describe them?
Well, I will, just because I want to show you, I'm a student of my own marketing. We always start off all my shooks, my client shooks. Let's see if we can bring it here. It says, who should read this book, right? So right up front, we want to identify and let people know who should and who shouldn't read this book. Now, hopefully they, if they're reading it on Amazon or something, they know even before that point. But again, I'm trying to weed out the folks that don't fit. So I articulate that. So in our case of our publishing company, it's really 2 high levels, Patrick. One, we just identify them as what I call Main Street business owners. So these are the traditional local business owner who typically wants to be what I call 5-mile famous. They want to be the most recognized expert authority on dentistry in their town, or the best insurance agent, or the best mattress retailer, whatever it might be, right? So that's what I call a Main Street business owner. And then the second audience, which is about 1/3 of our business, is someone like yourself who serves Main Street business owners, has a global presence, much like myself. I have a global audience. You do too. But you're serving the Main Street business owner. So those are the 2 audiences we serve with our Shook publishing opportunities.
And then when they, like if somebody wanted to engage with you, first, I guess, tell them how, and then what would the experience be like in bringing someone on? So go ahead.
The experience is awesome. You get to work with me. So the first step is I want you to read one of my shooks. So you showed all 3 of them. And I would advise you, I think the 100-page book, which is the recent one, they're all up on Amazon. The 100-page book is still specially priced because we're still sort of in the launch phase. You get the Kindle version for under $1 and the paperback for under $5. And it's, like I said, it's still a #1 bestseller in 3 months and counting. But, and listen, this is, the do-it-yourselfer can take this, Patrick, and craft their own shook. All right. I already had somebody, a gentleman who's written several books. I sent him an advanced review copy back in July, about 2 weeks before we went live with this. And he's already written a 100-page book. He already saw the value of it, took it. It's already on Amazon. I was on his podcast. He was all excited. So in about a month, he did it. So that book is the first step, or The Magic of Short Books is another good choice. Main Street Author is more about describing how business owners use books, shooks. So go through that. There's some valuable downloadable gifts in there. And listen, if you like the idea and you see the value in working with an expert like myself, all we do, Patrick, is we set up a strategy call. It's a no obligation complimentary call to see if it's a good fit. And the experience is you work directly with me. All right, we are a boutique publisher. I love, and I know you do this too. I love working with business owners, entrepreneurs, marketers, and it's about an 8 to 12 week process on average to go from idea to printed shook. Our record though is 23 days. I won't tell you what our long one is, but it's beyond 3 months, unfortunately, because sometimes life gets in the way. But it's I literally walk you through the entire process. We mastermind. You get my insights and expertise on saying, hey, is this the right strategy? Is this the best call to action? Is this the best, flow and formula for your shook? So and listen, there are folks, I just saw a gentleman yesterday who's charging $100,000 to help people write their book. And hey, and it's a 12-month process. I can get 12 shooks done and have 12 marketing opportunities in that time frame, for myself at least. But we're nowhere near that. All our publishing programs are under $10,000 and they're chock full of value. And yeah, I'd invite anybody who's interested to first read and let me know what you think, and then if it makes sense, schedule a call.
I love that. The other thing though is that you're illustrating how the business owner is going to use the shook. If you're a business owner and you really want to increase your local impact, I've heard that for a dentist, a lawyer, a financial planner, an insurance guy, their reach is between 5 and 13 miles from their office. Now, granted, everything's virtual now, so maybe it changes a bit. But if you're going to a dentist, you're not getting the information to take out this. You get it. The point is that you got to see those. But you just gave an illustration, Mike, and I love it. I know you're going, of course I did. That's what I do. I follow my formula. And but get the book, and it's the 100-page book. I'll have it done in the next hour. And then if it makes sense, I guarantee you, I've already seen 3, and I'm only like 30 pages in, 30, 40 pages, and ways to connect to Mike. For those of you that don't like to read the whole book, it's only 100 pages. And then take action. Because help me with this, Mike. Your clients that have gone through this, the object isn't to be a bestseller. The object is to attract a whole bunch of new clients that are high value. Am I reading that right?
You listen, and I always sort of poo-pooed that. I went through this exercise for a couple different reasons. One of which was to go through and see what it takes to be a quote Amazon bestseller, which, listen, I'm not going to retire on some island because of it. So it's, for most people, Patrick, it's, smoke and mirrors, but it is what it is. And after going through the exercise and really, going through the analytics of what it takes and what you have to do it right. I mean, there's ways of still sort of bastardizing it, but it was work. It was a little more, it was definitely an interesting experience. But aside from that, I'm actually working on a new shook, Patrick, and it's all about ways for the local business owner to use a shook. So I'm going to write a shook on how to use a shook. Right now, you can get a report. Actually, it's the passive call to action inside the 100-page book, which lists 21 ways. We've expanded that to about 50 and go into greater detail than I did in the report, because I see my clients are asking for more and more information. Like, what are smart ways I can use this? Now, it's not about making money on the front end with a shook, right? It's not about the $1 or $2 you might make if you sell these things, okay? This is a business card on steroids. You don't charge people for a business card. You don't worry about making money on the front end here. Okay, that's a distraction. So if you're an author who's trying to make money with books, I'm not your guy. It's on the back end, Patrick, with your products and services. It's not, necessarily now a guy like you that has more of a global reach. I could see potentially the interest in trying to say you're a best-selling author on Amazon. For the local dentist, I don't know how relevant it is. But yeah, it's really about leveraging these things in a variety of ways, offline and online. And the Main Street business owner, the local business owner, has some very unique opportunities that even guys like you and I don't have. So, there are some smart ways. And if you just do it consistently and persistently, I believe a book and a book-centric marketing strategy can work for anybody.
Absolutely. I mean, I think about people that just show an inch, they raise their hand. It's like, here, if this makes sense to you, then let's reconnect.
Yeah.
And what's really nice about that is it's kind of a takeaway. It's a look, I could tell you all the things that I can do for you.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll listen for about as long as a goldfish would. Right. And or you can begin to actually learn value, learn the process and receive value from my gift, and even if you sell it, it's still a gift. It's a value. And people, like you said, we don't throw away books. We put them on shelves and keep them for 17 generations.
Tell me about it.
And believe me, I have a library. But anywho, with that, get the book. It's on Amazon, the 100-page book. And your name, if you're, just in case you're wondering, is the spelling of Capuzzi's on the screen.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. So, I mean, I'm one of those creative sorts. I can think of 3 to 5 ways to spell things. So get it on Amazon. If it makes sense, connect with Mike. And I encourage you to do that now, because if you're somebody who is a profitable business owner and wanting to grow, needing new ideas to get the very best people to work with, Mike's got the keys. It's in his book, maybe I should say in your shook. With that, it's Pat Dewar. Thanks, Mike, for being on the air today. And folks, we will see you next time.